Hello, a very warm welcome to today's Scottish Golf Zoom panel where we'll focus on membership retention. I'm Ian Evans, Club Business Manager at Scottish Golf, and I'll be your host again today. Following a huge rise in golf club membership after the easing of lockdown restrictions, the focus for many clubs will be turning to trying to keep these new members for the next year and beyond. Membership is generally the highest source of income for most clubs across the country, and it costs less to retain members in terms of time and cost than to try and recruit them. On today's call, I'm delighted to be joined by three experts from across the golf industry in Scotland. First up is Debbie Pearn, Club Manager at Deeside Golf Club. Debbie has been part of the team at Deeside for 16 years and is only one of two women in Europe to hold her Certified Club Manager CCM certificate, which she achieved in 2017. Excuse me. Debbie has also presented at the Club Managers Association European Conference in Marbella in 2018, where she shared her wealth of knowledge with other members. Hi there, Debbie. Thanks for coming along.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Les Durno. Les has been the General Manager of Cruden Bay Golf Club for over 8 years, having been a proud member of the club for 50 years. Les also served in the club council at the golf club, both as junior convener for 5 years and the vice captain for a year. Since joining golf club management, Les has followed the MDP pathway and intends to sit his CCM exam next spring. Well, good luck with that, Les. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, finally, we have Anna McLean, the General Manager at Creeth Golf Club. Anna joined Creeth 3.5 years ago. With a background in sales and marketing, Anna previously worked with a team building and development company for over 12 years, and prior to that, she worked in the insurance industry responsible for hospitality for corporate partners. Having joined Creeth with limited knowledge of the golf industry or playing golf, the skill set she's developed over the years working in different industries has assisted her in her role of General Manager at Creeth, and has also started her MDP pathway and sits on the board of Golf Perthshire. Hi Anna, thank you very much for coming.
Hi Ian.
Excellent. Okay, this is only a brief snapshot of the experience of today's panel, and thank you all again for joining us. The format of today's call will be a straight Q&A. We've received several pre-submitted questions ahead of today's call, and I'll pose these to our panel of experts. But don't worry, if you didn't get a chance to submit a question in advance, or you'd like to have more questions during the call, you'll be able to submit these in the Q&A function below. Just click on the button, type in your question, and I'll try to get round to as many as possible. Okay, let's get into it. So, just to kind of set the scene, if you like, membership retention is an area I've worked extensively on clubs with, and I like to think of membership retention as essentially the objective. It's what you're trying to achieve. You want to keep your members. So what I'd like to get into is, well, how can we do that? Very often, membership retention can be looked at in two ways. New member retention, try to give new members the warm embrace so they want to stay a member, and those existing longer-term members, how you communicate with them and give them the services that they want. So we'll probably start off with the new member retention, because that's kind of the hot topic right now with the surge. So the first question is, what has the experience of the panel been in their community regarding an increased demand for membership? Les, do you want to talk to that one first?
Yeah, Ian, of course I will. I've heard of some amazing figures from other golf clubs. I think Murray Golf Club had over 300 new members in various categories. From our point of view, since we've reopened, we've had 13 new members, 4 of which are new to golf altogether and joined our academy membership. We've also had 10 associate members and 5 new junior members. Not huge numbers, I would agree, but we're a very small village with the 4 local villages and towns having golf courses as well. So we've got 720 playing members and 310 associate. So we've done relatively okay in that very short period, Ian, thanks.
Okay, excellent. And during the lockdown, we saw lots of stories on social media about members of the public using the golf course to exercise and getting a look at these fantastic pieces of land that many golf courses have. And I wonder, during the lockdown period, did the panel manage to recruit new members who'd actually been using the golf course to exercise? Anna, how did you find that?
We did, Ian, thankfully. I mean, what we did during lockdown is we actively went out and said to local residents, look, the golf course is there, come and use it at your leisure. Please be mindful of it. And do you know what? We had a great response for that and great feedback. We have definitely recruited some members that actually came up and used it. I mean, luckily for us, I've just counted today and we had 89 new members we've had since the beginning of March. So we are really, really fortunate, I have to say. I mean, a mixture across all boards, from full membership right the way through to the new flex that we've just introduced. So we've been very fortunate, and yes, the local residents were very mindful of our course and very gracious with their feedback afterwards.
Fantastic, and it's good you put a positive spin on that. So you said people, you know, enjoy it safely, and this could be somewhere you can enjoy membership. Fantastic. And I just wonder, so when a member joins, I mean, what do you generally do to welcome a new member into the club and orientate them? Debbie, I wonder if you could talk to that one.
Yeah, sure, Ian. And firstly, I would like to just say how fantastic it is to hear about all these wonderful clubs that are doing so well with new members. Deeside are in a slightly different situation. We're very, very fortunate. We're one of the few clubs still to have a waiting list. However, we did our annual intake at just before lockdown started, and we were slightly concerned that we may lose some of these members because of lockdown, but it's had totally the opposite effect. And what we generally tend to do is have a new members evening, first of all, and we invite all the new members to come along with their partners, their wives, whatever, and we introduce them to the captain and the council and all the staff. We also offer it up as a Q&A session that they can come and ask us questions. We then do a tour. We take them around. We show them how they sign up for the competitions and everything. We give them a good indication of the history of the club, the ethos of the club, what we expect in terms of behaviour, dare I say, and also outline all the benefits of being a member of Deeside. So I think that it's really important to make them feel part of the club as quickly as possible.
Fantastic, thank you. What about you, Les? Do you have like a defined member process? What happens when someone joins the club? Is it something you repeat?
It's not so much defined, Ian. I mean, we send them an email with all the information. It's quite interesting. Last year, for the first time ever, we invited them to play golf with our club council. Quick 9 holes with them. Then we had lunch afterwards, and then we answered the questions, a bit like Debbie said as well. And that introduced them to people at the club. The other thing is, once we've introduced them to the staff, it's important to get to know the pro shop, because they're the people in the pro shop that will help them find buddies to play golf with or match them up with suitable people. Like every golf club, there are people that you wouldn't put new members out with, but you'll select certain members and try and encourage them to play golf with the new members. So we do that quite a bit as well. Staff, you know, they're always very much aware of the new members, make sure they make them welcome. And yeah, we've tried different things. We give them extra benefits from being new members as well. More sign-on guests. We give their wives or partners, whatever, an associate membership for a year. Because they spent a bit of money with us. They spent over £1,300 in their first year. So what we would tend to do is make sure that the partner doesn't feel as though the golf club's taking everything away from them, and they get a benefit as well. So for the first year, they get an associate membership. So we try and encourage it that way. So it's a twofold sort of thing.
Yeah, it's quite a common I've seen in the past, giving that free social or associate membership to the spouse or cohabiting partner of somebody, and encourages them to come in and bring their friends as social member. Then maybe
it just works and takes away that negativity there is of he or she's away at the golf club, when they can use it and come and eat, etc. So that works quite well for us in the past.
It's a really tangible member benefit. It's not a huge direct cost.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And you know, a member welcome pack is quite a common resource clubs will use to orientate new members. And I wonder, is that something that you've used at all, Anna, yourself, in helping members learn about the club?
Yeah, we do, Ian. So every new member gets a welcome pack, which contains information, contact names, contact numbers, so that if they have any issues, they know who to contact, their bag tags, everything to make their experience just a little bit more seamless. And likewise, like Debbie and Les, we take them around, we introduce them to the staff that they're going to be seeing on a day-to-day basis, and especially the pro shop. Yeah, the pro shop's really, really quite the key element of keeping all together. They are the guys that'll find them buddies, and you're absolutely right, Les. They're the ones that know who to put them out with to start with, so they can enjoy the experience a little bit more. Give them a show around, and then just tell them that my door's always open. You know, if they have any issues or any queries, you know, they can come and see me at any point in time. So just trying to ease them in gently, and then follow that up later on.
Fantastic. And just a slight plug here, we do have a generic new member welcome pack template on the website, and that'll be in the link that we send out with the video after this webinar. Debbie, you mentioned member benefits. In a previous job of mine, my boss once said to me, never assume our members know the benefits of being a member just because they're a member. And I wonder, how important do you think is defining those member benefits and really making the members aware of them?
Oh, absolutely, hugely important, Ian, absolutely. I think that we all have to kind of be a bit inventive for coming up with new ideas for benefits for members, particularly, you know, they know they can play golf, but what else can they do? So, you know, we have reciprocal arrangements, we have a discount, that's a very popular one. We have a 10% discount on all food and beverage. We have some coaching available for particularly the junior members. We try and involve them as much as possible. And I think just highlighting all the different facilities that we have, the social calendar that we have, like Les was saying, get their families involved, get their partners involved. You know, we have all the usual, we have a snooker room and the television and free Wi-Fi, which is fairly common now, but all these things are just, you know, encourages members to come down to the golf club and use it for more than just coming to play golf, and giving them as many benefits as we can.
Of course, and if you can make the club the place the whole family wants to go, that's going to do nothing else but encourage them to stay, of course. Well, as you mentioned, I think you alluded to some more modern types of membership, and I wonder, how do you think those more modern types of member, whether they be introductory, family, lifestyle, are going to be important to retaining this new, if you like, batch of members that have come in?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've taken in 4 new Academy members this year since the lockdown. And Academy membership's a great way, because we still have a joining fee, so our first year is quite expensive. However, if you've not played golf before and you know very little about the game, it's a very expensive game to take up. So we've offered a £400 Academy membership, which gives you 6 lessons with a pro, 15 games on the St Olaf course, a 9-hole course, free access to the driving range, the chipping area, the putting greens, etc. And they can sign in their guests into the clubhouse as well. And out of the, I think there's 30 odd in the last 4 years, only 2 people have not become a full member, which is great. So they've seen how the place works, they're comfortable in the environment, because a golf club environment is not something that a lot of people are used to if you're new to the game of golf. It's always created as, you can't do this, you can't do the next thing. We've taken away all that from our front door. We don't have any negatives at the front door. We've got no issues with what they can wear. So everything's quite open with us now. That's changed over the last 8 years quite considerably. And then from our new members' point of view, their children are free if they want to play golf between the ages of 5 and 18. And we've introduced quite a number of intermediate memberships. So it used to be it stopped at 21. Now we have a membership for 22, 23, 24, 25-year-olds. And that's really seen a big uptake of recent years. And that's very positive, because most golf clubs have got an aging sort of demographic. And we're seeing ours changing now with that. And that's not rocket science stuff. A lot of clubs are doing that anyway, but it is working very well indeed. So we've done a few different things. Winter membership is the last thing I would say, where we invite people to join for the winter between November and March. If they then become a full member after that, that fee that they paid in the winter comes off their joining fee. So basically the 5 months free golf introduces them again to the whole place, the whole golf course, the driving range, everything, and they feel part of it in that 5 months. So these have all worked quite well for us. But I mean, I heard Anna saying she's got a sort of flex one. I've not heard much about the flex one. So I don't know if she's got any more to say on that one.
The flex one we introduced really just as a kind of a more social side to golf, Les. And to be honest with you, we started it in June, beginning of July maybe. I started marketing it in June. We've had 38 people taking that up. And it's on a points basis, and we've got the software that manages it. So we really just sell the product or sell the category, and it manages itself. And it can be, you can, once you've used your points up, you can add to it. So it's been a really, really popular one for those people that are maybe don't want to spend so much money on a membership, but we still want them to be a member. And we've kind of used it as a stepping stone. We've found that at least 2 or 3 have already said they want to actually upgrade to a full member. But I think you're right. I think it's the diversity in the type of categories that you have. So you're trying to meet everybody's requirements without making your portfolio too big. But the Academy membership one is a great one as well. We run that, and we've got a buddy system. Mainly ladies, if I'm honest with you, that have joined it. And the ladies have started up a buddy system. So whilst they're getting the experience in coaching from our pro, from David Mutchie, afterwards the ladies then take them out onto the course, because I think that's the most fearful part of it, of starting golf, is going out and maybe doing something wrong. So they go out and help them, introduce them into the course, and again that's a great leader into the big course as well, or upgrading in categories.
Yeah, our ladies section's done the same actually. In fairness, they take, most of the academy members tend to be ladies, just seems to be the way it is, but they make sure they include them in the fun nights and just other events that they have, so that they don't feel as though they're just a bunch on their own and they don't get any of the benefits. And that's been very well received. And they've all got their Congo handicaps now, the ones that have come through, and a number of them are now on the main course and moved on from the St. Olaf course. So I think it's been a great idea.
And do you think these, Anna, do you think these more social or modern, progressive like types of memberships are going to be important for us as an industry to retain more people in golf? What do you think we as an industry need to think about with all these?
Absolutely. I think we need to be more flexible in our approach, to be quite honest with you. There's so much other sporting or sports out there that people can turn to. And I think, you know, if we can introduce these categories that we can use as a catalyst, as a stepping stone to integrate them into the golf club, the golf course, and they don't feel fearful. I think it's this big fear factor that people, you know, especially it's new to golf, is coming out. I knew it myself, having not been a player beforehand, going out in the course, and it's like, oh my goodness, if I get this wrong, what's going to happen? It's just giving them that little bit more confidence to move forward. But I think we have to be flexible in our approach, definitely.
Absolutely. And on the flip side, I wonder what some key reasons why a new or existing member might leave a club. I've often heard the phrase, you can't do anything about death, disaster, divorce. But what are the things that we can control? What are some things, what are the reasons members might leave that we can actually mitigate? Les, do you want to come in on that one?
Yeah. I suppose from our point of view, we try, and a lot of them is family time and constraints that they've got due to family. And that's why we've sort of opened up to make sure that the spouse is part of the golf club experience now, and that the children can be free members. If they do leave, they're reminded that they can come back without a joining fee again. You pay one joining fee per lifetime. And if their children then come to that age when they want to play golf, and that's the reason they've left, their children will be free. And just try and encourage that whole ethos of being a family club. And if they don't want to play golf because they don't have the time, we try and encourage them to keep their association with us by just having a social membership. So it's just trying not to lose them completely. You can't help people moving away from the area, or if their friends start playing somewhere else in other clubs and there's 5 of them being there for a while and they want to join their friends. But we just try and keep them within the community of the golf club, and that's the most important thing for us.
Okay, just conscious of time. I mean, I'd like to maybe move on now to think about the broader piece on existing member retention, which of course applies to new members as well. And I wonder how important, member communication is to retention. What does the panel do to keep the members informed? Les, do you want to? Oh, sorry, Debbie, can you comment on that one? What do you currently?
Yeah, sure. I think communication. The members just cannot get enough communication. There is always a danger that every email that pops in, they go, oh, what's this? But I think it's certainly the last 6 months, communication has been the best thing for every golf club to keep their members informed, keep their members updated on what's going on. As you know, the regulations are changing so often, and we have to keep abreast of that, and we have to make sure that the message is getting through to the members loud and clear. We tend to, as a matter of course, we put a weekly email out every week, and that covers any news from the course, what's happening on the course, in the pro shop, in the clubhouse, anything else that's relevant at the time. We do that on a weekly email on a Friday. We also have a captain's update. Captain puts out an email after each council meeting just to give a summary, an overview of what's been discussed. And I mean, obviously, the captain has been hugely involved in the last 6 months as well. I think that, member forums is another thing that just keeps the communication going. Getting groups together. We had holo coring this week, and we invited the members to come and watch the holo coring process on the 18th green, and the course manager was there to talk them through and explain it to them. And I think, as long as they know what's going on, then I think it's hugely important.
Indeed, maybe we just jump to that when I'll come back to some of the other questions about members' forums. You mentioned it, Debbie. I've actually, quite a few years ago, facilitated members' forums at Crease before Anna's time and at Cruden Bay with Les. And the purpose of that was really just to get member engagement and buy-in and feedback so you can improve your service to them and keep them informed and what have you. That was obviously an independent facilitator, but you do it yourself. And I just wonder, you know, Les, I facilitate Cruden Bay, you saw what we do there. How important do you think our members' forums are to get members' insight and buy-in and their direction to you?
It was funny, Ian, because I was terrified when you were going to have this members forum, as you know well. And I sat there with a face like thunder the entire time during it, thinking, oh, what's this going to be like? And the Taliban was there, as you and Kevin said.
I'm not going to say that publicly, but okay. They were put in their place, and it was great to see that and the positivity that came out in the end. But what people wanted to see happen and actually prioritise what they wanted was great. And all this, I want 5 pence off a nip, or I want to get a tea time every Friday morning at 7:30 and you're not open till 8, just disappeared. And that was great, absolutely great. So, and we've addressed the first 5 things on that list in the 3 years. And we've done them, and we've told the members that we've done them as well. And they're now seeing that it was a worthwhile experience for them and a worthwhile one for me. I mean, I was honest, I was terrified, but it did work for us, I'm sure. Absolutely. Go ahead, Debbie.
I think with the member forums as well, it just gives the members an opportunity to voice their concerns or to voice their positives or their negatives. It just gives them the opportunity and lets them feel that they're being listened to. And it's up to the council of the day or committee of the day to ensure that what they're being told by the members, they take on board. And even if it's just part of a bigger initiative, at least that group of members feel that they've been listened to.
Yeah,
absolutely. And obviously in COVID times, you can't do it face to face, but it's something I've done many of in the past. And very often it's what you're looking for is a consensus in the room, and it always gravitates towards what's right. And then you've evidenced, Les, you've been able to enact some new initiatives based on what your members want, which in turn will aid retention. So I can't stress enough how much a fan I am of forums and asking your customers, your stakeholders, what they want, and then trying to give it to them and trying to get to what that consensus is, not just the vocal minority. Anyway, enough from me. Coming back to the comms, because this is one I'd like to pose to you, Anna. I know that you communicate with your members frequently, but the question is, should it come from one person, or should it come from different heads of department, and how should that be coordinated? I just wonder how you go about that, because that's an often question we get from clubs.
I think it's a great question, and I think it's great if you've got heads of departments that can do that. We're a smaller club generally. During this whole time, I was the only person that was working. So I think it needs to be channeled through myself at least. But I think it depends how you communicate or what tool you use to communicate as well. I mean, generally we send our communications out through Club V1. However, I think, Debbie, you mentioned earlier on, if you communicate too much, it's a bit like, oh, here's another email, and no one reads them. So we tend to put it out through the BRS as well, because that's all about golf. We have been using other tools, Instagram, not so much to send messages, but just to keep in touch with members, Facebook. So I think there's different tools that we can be using these days. And that really comes, I think, to bring everything back to this time that we live in, that everything has to be instant. And we're addressing people at different age groups that read emails, some don't, some like messages, some like text messages. So it's trying to get that broad range so that we can reach everybody.
So how often would you then send these types of things out? Do you have a set thing, or does it really go on what, depending?
Just recently we haven't, no, we've been very much keeping on top of all the information that's been sent out from Scottish Golf. So the minute you guys send us something, we send that out to the members so that they're on top of that as well. There certainly should be some strategy in place. We like to think that we're able to communicate, at least on a regular basis, whether that be fortnightly or monthly, but it really depends on what's happening. I'm very much of the opinion that you don't send out a communication just to waffle. It has to be engaging, it has to be interesting, it has to be something that the members want to hear. Otherwise you just lose them, and rightly so. I mean, we all know we get so many emails in a day that we don't read them all, so it has to be something that is of benefit to them.
I would totally agree with that, Anna. And I think particularly during lockdown, we were finding it kind of other than the official documentation or communications that had to go out, it was kind of, well, what am I going to say this week? But I think that it was just important still to have one communication a week, and doesn't have to be the weekly email through Club V1, or it can be the social media. We do a Facebook Live, things like that. There's so many different ways now that hopefully you're getting the same message shared with every age group of people who are looking at whatever device they're looking at.
That's right, Debbie, and it's trying to reach all those age groups, and keep them all engaged,
Yeah.
Indeed, and stay with you, Debbie. I know that you've surveyed your members before. Affiliate clubs can access the customer feedback track from Scottish Golf free or no additional cost to affiliation. And that's a way of, I guess, getting more statistical, objective data. And as opposed to a members forum, it's slightly more subjective, conversational. Yeah. I just wonder, do you think surveying members, which I suppose would be easier to do in COVID, do you think that's still a useful thing you should do, and how often do you do it?
I think it's absolutely essential to survey your members at least every second year, just to, a golf club is one big family, and we all need to know what's going on and what the objectives, the initiatives are. And I think to survey people, that gives them an opportunity. Okay, you get the keyboard warriors, and you get the ones that are, very happy to say whatever in a keyboard. But when it's a structured survey and the questions are structured, it's a great opportunity to gather the data. I think the one piece of advice that I would give, if at all possible, is to get an external company to come in and do your survey, because they're completely objective. They have no idea of the politics of the club. They're not going to target questions a certain way to get the answer that they want. So I would certainly recommend getting an external company to come in and do a survey.
Absolutely. And with my business planning hat on, I think surveys are particularly useful if you want to benchmark where you are, find out what's important, and then set an objective to try and improve on something, because you know it's important and you can measure it, of course. Yeah. That's maybe a conversation another day. And I want to turn to conscious time as well, customer services, which is always a really hot topic when we ask clubs what's important to you, customer service. And I wonder how important customer services you feel is in relation to membership retention, and does this panel set standards for staff and train them? And on the back of that, does the panel think that clubs should be as focused on customer services as other hospitality providers are? And historically probably more have been. I wonder, Anna, what do you think about that?
I would say, why wouldn't we? I mean, customer service, in my mind, is 100%. It should be up there alongside everything else. We are trying to retain members, and there's a lot of competition out there. So yes, they want to come, they want to play a great course. With our courses getting great feedback, that's fantastic, but they don't feel valued as a member when they walk in the clubhouse, or they don't feel they're getting the service they deserve. They could quite easily go down the road and join somewhere else. It has to be a package. It has to be that whole customer experience, and that's what my background is, and that's the way that we would sell Creef. And I think all golf courses, golf clubs should be in the same context as that.
I think you're quite right, Anna, and I think actually we're in a much tougher situation, because the expectations are much higher than in the normal hospitality industry, and it's meeting the expectations of the members. They pay money to be a member of the club, and it's our duty and our job to make sure that the customer service is above and beyond. I tell my staff, the answer is yes. Now, what was the question?
Absolutely agree with that.
How important do you think, Debbie, because I know this is something you've been involved in the past, because obviously it's important to train staff and empower them and give them the skills to be able to deliver the standards you expect. How important do you think staff training is? How do you currently adopt that in D-side?
Yes, hugely. I think both internal and external training is beneficial. I think there's a danger in a club environment that when you're dealing with the same people day in, day out, that complacency can set in amongst the staff, and it's our job to make sure that the staff training is spot on, that they're enthusiastic, they're motivated, they're paying attention to the service standards that we've set, and that the members are getting the standard that they expect. So I think that, as I say, both internal and external training is really, really good.
Indeed.
I mean, Ian, we took an external one then 2 years ago, and I took all the staff. So we closed the clubhouse for the first time ever. Took the greenkeeping staff, the rangers, the starters, the bar staff, admin staff, and catering staff. And they were completely sceptical, this whole thing, that they're going away and have to have a training day on customer service. And to a person, they all came back and said, that was fantastic, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. Even the green staff, you know, and they bought into it very, very quickly as well. So that was great. And I think Debbie's right, an external one does work as well. Sometimes there's almost a shock factor to them, and a reality sort of thing to the staff.
Indeed, and one thing we've not touched on, it's a really big topic, but I wonder what your view, Des, is. I mean, how important is social media in developing and maintaining a sense of community within the club? Is that something you...
Yeah, well, we use social media.
Sorry, Les,
it's all right, it's okay. We use, I've been called a lot worse, I can assure you. We use social media quite a bit on Twitter and Instagram. Put out positive messages. Don't tell them that the golf course is closed, or don't tell them that it's icy and it's foggy or whatever. We only put out positive messages on our Instagram and our Twitter account. Facebook, we haven't had a good experience with Facebook. You have to be honest in these things. It can become a bitching session sometimes with people. So we're very careful what we put on Facebook. But we do use the other two quite a bit. And we try just to be positive. Always put out pictures of the golf course, things we're doing on the golf course. The greenkeeping staff will put out that they're coring or whatever they're doing on the course. And good information, but nothing negative. That's a big thing. You start putting out negative things to your members and to the world, and then people start looking at your golf course thinking there's a problem there. So we tend not to put anything negative about it at all. Indeed,
and then the resources we'll send out after this to the delegates, the social media guide for clubs. And just finally, Debbie, come to you. Do you have any kind of key, back to customer service? I know it's such an important topic. Any particular do's and don'ts that clubs can take away?
Well, I think the first thing you always need to remember is that you're the director of first impressions. So I think it's important that you remember that, and it doesn't matter if it's the members you're seeing every day. Attention to detail, of course, is high priority. Quality food, quality environment, nice, warm, welcoming environment. You know, tidy staff, eye contact. Be very honest with your customers, with your members. If you're having an issue, whatever it is, just be honest with them. They'll understand, particularly just now during COVID. Also, I always tell my staff, put yourself in the members' shoes. You know, this is your club. How do you want to be treated? How do you want to be served? So loads and loads of do's and don'ts, Ian. Could go on all day.
I know it's a big question.
I have to say as well, Debbie, one thing I've found is I get out of the office and actually go upstairs and in the lounge or out and up to the shop and meet the members and just say, you know, hi, how's it going? How are you today? You know, and just speak to them generally. And I think they're more likely to open up to yourself if they've any issues around customer service or any issues at all.
Yeah, really important that, Anna. You know, if we're not in the mix and know what's going on, how can we expect the staff to?
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, totally.
Of course, and being a member of a club, and as you say, Debbie, paying your money, that sense of belonging and being recognised and knowing in your club environment is very, very important.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Conscious of time, so I'm going to draw it to a close. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to an end of today's Zoom panel call. We'd like once again to thank Debbie, Les, and Anna for joining us and for their valuable insight and expertise, which will no doubt have been extremely valuable to all of our delegates on today's call. Don't forget, if you'd like to catch up on any of our previous webinars, you can watch them all on our website, scottishgolf.org. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe and a very good day to you. Thank you very much, the panel, for coming on again.
Thanks, Ian. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.